All right, today we're diving into a headline about AI that's been making some serious waves. It's this idea of a massive failure rate that has a lot of people asking, is this whole AI boom just a bubble, or is there something else going on?
So let's just put it right out there 95%. This is the number that sent a shockwave through the business world, making everyone second guess the billions of dollars being poured into artificial intelligence. And here's the source of that bombshell a recent study from MIT. And what it says, in no uncertain terms, is that for almost every company trying out AI, their big investment delivered zero return. Nada.
So, what is really going on here? Does this number actually mean the AI hype train is about to go off the rails?
And look, this wasn't some tiny, back of the napkin survey either. MIT dug into 300 different corporate AI projects. They talked to the execs, they talked to the employees on the ground, and the conclusion was just crystal clear. The vast majority of these projects were, financially speaking, a total bust.
Okay, so section one, why the first wave failed? Because to really get what this 95% means, you gotta look at why these projects didn't work. And the answer, it's a bit more complicated than you might think.
And here's the absolute key. The source we're digging into argues this is not a failure of AI technology itself, not at all. It's the classic predictable stumble of what they call a first failed cycle. It wasn't AI that failed, it was the clumsy first corporate attempt to actually use it that failed.
And this just lays out the flawed playbook perfectly. The source gives this great example of a big hospital in the US. It starts at the top, the board, who doesn't really get it, just issues a vague, do some AI mandate. So what do the executives do? They hire the usual big-name consultants who, let's be honest, don't really understand this new world either. The result? A project that was pretty much doomed from the start. Of course it had zero ROI.
All right, section two, a new kind of labor. So if we're saying this isn't a bubble, then what is it? How should we be thinking about this? This is where things get really interesting.
So forget thinking about AI as just another tool or a piece of software you buy. The source suggests a complete mental reframing. Think of AI as something way more fundamental, a brand new form of intelligent labor, an unlimited, super smart, and incredibly cheap workforce. And to really make this idea hit home, to make you feel the scale of this change, the source uses this really powerful and pretty provocative thought experiment. Just think about that for a second. What would actually happen to an economy if you could suddenly get a billion brilliant, highly educated workers who need no food, no housing, and cost you next to nothing? According to our source, that's the economic reality we are stepping into right now. And this just breaks down that mind-bending shift perfectly, right? We are moving from a world defined by scarce, expensive human brain power to one with abundant, nearly free artificial brain power. The old economic rules are just getting thrown out the window. Okay, moving on to section three, the intelligence explosion. Because here's the real kicker. This new labor force isn't just sitting still. It's getting smarter at a terrifying speed. I mean, just look at this timeline. The MIT study started when the AI models had a so-called IQ of about 90. By the time the study was even finished, that number was already up to 100. And the prediction for the end of next year? We're talking 135 plus. It's insane. The companies in that study were basically using obsolete tech before the report was even published. So you see, the reason we're not seeing this huge ROI yet isn't because the technology is flawed. The bottleneck is us. It's the humans. It's the managers and the entrepreneurs who are just now learning how to tell this incredible new workforce what to do. We're the ones playing catch up. And hey, this isn't just some future-gazing theory, okay? Look at a real company right now called Lovable. It's an AI that basically is an entire team of front-end software developers. You just tell it what you want, and it builds it for you. This company just raised one of the biggest funding rounds in European history. It's proof that people are already figuring out how to turn this AI labor into massive real-world value. Okay, last section. Section four, the coming inversion. This is where this whole thing leads to a really dramatic prediction about what's coming next. Our source is predicting a complete 180-degree flip. That 95% no ROI figure from the MIT study, it's about to be turned completely on its head. Soon, it's not going to be 95% of companies seeing no return. It's going to be 95% of companies realizing they literally cannot survive without this stuff. And get this,
The timeline for this shift is ridiculously fast. We're talking by the end of next year. AI is going to move from being an experiment on the balance sheet to being a non-negotiable core condition for even staying in business.
So, when you boil it all down, the argument is crystal clear. This is not a bubble. What we are seeing right now is the very, very beginning of the biggest economic shift in human history. All because we now have unlimited intelligent labor at our fingertips. Which leaves us with one final huge thought. If we accept this idea that the limit of scarce intelligence has finally been broken, then the challenge isn't about the technology anymore. It's about imagination. The only question left for every single one of us is, what are we going to build with it?